Good morning, everybody out there. Happy Tuesday, April 22nd. And I see Kim Appreciates Life, Midwest Cannabis. Good morning. Good morning. Futures are green. Don't jinx it, guys. Don't jinx it. But yeah, things are green again after a big red down day yesterday. So maybe it can reverse some of that damage. What do you think, Tracker?
I hope so. I'm still staring at this my VIX, and it still seems like it wants to. It looks like it's trending up. So I'm worrying about a sad May. The usual sell in May and go away could still stick, and now we've kind of gotten beaten up ahead of May, and so now I don't know. There's nowhere to go except sideways or down some more. So now I'm kind of feeling that way with stocks, and I'm telling people that. I think maybe I'm not so optimistic for. I think stocks could make a lower low in May and then like a slightly lower low. But the bright point is Bitcoin right now and its associated stocks. So that's kind of where I'm putting my money out of the stock market in general, and but into stocks that have stuff to do with Bitcoin, like
Yeah,
DIDX.
that's where all the action is right now.
Yeah, the positive action.
Yeah.
And of course, Tesla's got its earnings today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But why don't you go ahead and do our indices and tell us what we have to look forward to next week for the rest of this week.
Yeah, so we'll look at SPY first, and this actually hit the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud perfectly yesterday. I think that was the weekly destination. I think that potentially has a possibility of being the low for the week. I think we can see that it kind of wants to maybe try to stay in the cloud here, maybe even try to go back up to resistance at the 523.80. And then we'll just go from there to see if it can actually break back above, flip it back to a support. And if so, then it's got a whole big range above it to go back above too. So I think that low yesterday, 508, does kind of make sense for a low for the week. So I'm not going to be too concerned about going lower just yet. So yeah, I'm just thinking it's in a range bound, 520s, 508 right there. So it does have room to go higher, but not sure if it has enough power to break through this 523. So more range bound for SPY. And QQQ, we can see that it did go through the bottom of the cloud, but right now it's working on getting back inside the cloud right there. So perhaps that was also the low for the week, and we can see maybe he wants to go back up and try to retest the 100-week moving average 441. So it does have room to go higher. And also, we'll see if it has enough power to close back above that and maybe head towards the 1.272 again. So we're right in a big range between SPY, QQQ, and also IWM, same range as last week, right? It did not really go lower to touch this fib. It didn't really break any previous support levels because it was already in the same range. So now we have the potential to go back up to the 189.33, and maybe the low for the week is already in as well. And one thing I wanted to show is, before I go on to Bitcoin, is the monthly chart, right? I think these actually might be the lows for uh, this downturn, right? Because it did already wick through the monthly baseline, almost got to the 2021 high, and it's holding. So this month, I think the lows are in. Next month, I think there is a potential to actually do like a double bottom that way as well. So it does have potential to go back to the 400s for the SPY, but I don't know if it's really going to make a lower low. So all this fear out there, and it's still holding the monthly baseline. And we saw that before, right? You saw 3 down months in a row right here back in August, September, and October of 2023, and it wicked down through the baseline, and then it continued higher. So we could see something similar to that. So with all this fear out there, it's still holding high time frame support. So I'm not too concerned at the moment. And QQQ, same situation. It already wicked down to 2021 highs and the baseline as well. And I think it really has potential to be the lows are in. So I'm a little bit more optimistic going into May than I am anything else, really, because weekly charts, they're not really breaking down lower. Monthly charts, they just already wicked through the baseline. So I'm not too concerned. Even with IWM, it it already wicked through the 100-month moving average like it almost did back in 2023. So it's still inside the monthly Ichimoku cloud. It's still above the 100-month moving average. It still looks okay. So all this fear out there, monthly levels are holding fine, which makes me more optimistic going into May than I am a little bit worried. So we'll see what really develops, but I'll take it 1 week at a time. And as I showed you, we are approaching resistance again. So let's see if there can be some explosive moves breaking through those resistance levels by the end of the week. And that would be a perfect setup going into next week. And with that, let's talk about Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is trying to get above my 45-degree angle right now here on linear scale and also the baseline. So that's 88,077. And it's getting above both. But we've seen this before, right? We've seen it before right here. We saw it before right here. How it wicked above, closed below, wicked above, closed below. And there is still 5 days, 12 hours left for this weekly candle. So this still has potential to just turn into a wick and close back below. So I'm not super excited currently at the price because I want some confirmation. And sometimes with confirmation, you just have to be patient. You have to have enough time pass to determine if it really wants to break out. But if you just go to the daily chart, we can see that it is actually trying to get above the daily cloud here, flip that to a support. So if it, in fact, starts to stay on top of the daily cloud here, then I think, yeah, it'll probably go to the 90s, and this will be our confirmation that we need. But this is looking better and better for Bitcoin, better and better for crypto. I think that we're on the right path to go to the 90s. And once it starts to clear 91, 158, then you'll see me get a lot more excited because the next step would be going back up to the 100,000 zone once again to try to break that.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we'll definitely have to watch that 88. Where is it? I can't read on your screen.
88,000, just like 88,000, just current price, maybe 88,200. I'm really watching.
Yeah. That's the Ellie Monsef says, what's the name of that cloud you use? It's the Ichimoku cloud. And it's definitely one you want to learn.
And Ichimoku just stands for one look in Japanese because when you just look at the Ichimoku, you can tell if it's like a bullish chart or a bearish chart in one look.
Exactly. Good morning, everybody. And yeah, Bitfarms bankrupted my family. How am I supposed to sell in May? There are no profits. I know. It's like everyone else sold in December and then just left us, and then just kept selling off through this first quarter here. So things did not go. 2025 did not start off the way I was looking for. And then why do people put so much on earnings? People are always looking for the next catalyst, right? So the next carrot that's in front of you, and they just put a lot of hopes on what could happen next. Like tonight with Tesla earnings, it looks like it's probably going to be about a 20, like a 7, maybe up to 17% miss on earnings. And so all we'll have to look for is the forward guidance. And if there isn't that there, then it just kind of keeps going sideways for a while. I'm not betting big at all. I'm not betting at all on Sunday's earnings for Tesla. I'm expecting it to just be kind of sideways or even dip down a little bit and then just kind of go sideways after that and maybe slowly come up. Max pain for this week in Tesla is 240 now for Friday. And we're below that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about the VIX more, if you want to talk about Tesla, we can jump into that.
Thank you. Here's the VIX 8-hour, plus I think I've got, I'm sorry, this is the VIX 4-hour, plus I got the 8-hour chart. No, this is the daily chart. I'm drawing back here. VIX price gaps don't always close because the tendency is it wants to keep going down over time, but I just kind of see this trend. It seems to be bouncing up, and the daily Ichimoku cloud, I'm going to show you the daily. I drew it, but this is what it actually looks like. Oh no, that must have been the 8-hour, and this is the daily. But it just seems to kind of want to pull out and to the right. So like, if it does follow the cloud, then here, like in May, the VIX is going to be up here in the high 30s, low 40s again. And right now we're down here in the low 30s. So, yeah, I'm worried that we are going to see this gap close and you're just going to see more fear, more sell-off. And so even though we gapped lower this morning, here it is on the hourly VIX, and here's yesterday at 4:10, and then this morning at 3:10 a.m. With a gap down. Looks like it could go sideways on this time scale, but as we go up the time scale, it just seems to want to draw it higher and higher. This is the 4-hour Ichimoku right in here. So I don't know. That's what I'm worried about. I'm just thinking that stocks are going to keep getting downward pressure, but at least Bitcoin's challenging some new highs, and as Matt said, this 88.2 is sort of that limit here. It struck 88.9 just earlier this hour. So I don't know. Let's see if it can hold 88.2 as support. This 141 I see is 88.172. So if we can stay up here, then maybe it can get on top and show weekly support. But of course, we won't know until next week. But that's where I'm at. I'm kind of doing Bitcoin, XRP through XXRP, and BitX are two things that you can do to see if we get a breakout. These will run, and then of course MicroStrategy through MSTX for me, and ConL. And Matt posted something publicly to everyone how he thinks that Coin might have hit made a nice support level. So I bought some more ConL yesterday as well after I saw that. That's all I'm doing in the markets. I'm just kind of watching the VIX with trepidation. I sold out a lot of my stock positions, and I'm just kind of doing, trying to make some lemonade out of Bitcoin here.
Make some lemonade out of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a VIX. I just want to show really quick, and then we can jump into the request and Tesla first. But yeah, I see VIX on the monthly chart, and I see it's just I think it's dying, to be honest. I think that we're seeing a rejection from the top of the cloud, just kind of how we saw back in August, and there's a rejection of the baseline conversion line, and I think it's probably going to close the month below the cloud. The trend has been wick above, close below, so I'm going to stick with that trend, and that would be back below 25, and also. The weekly chart, it's kind of dead too. It's back inside the cloud, back below a lot of the, not a lot, but the conversion line, the baseline. It's just stuck inside the cloud momentarily, but I think it's going to just gravitate lower and head back down to the averages down here. So I think the VIX is actually cooling down, which is also another reason why I'm more optimistic going into May. So I think things are going to have a likelihood to recover, in my opinion. But whether or not it's going to be this week or next week, that's still undecided. So we'll take it one level at a time, like I showed with the indices earlier. But yeah, I think it's in a bottoming process, or a topping process, I should say, for the VIX.
Maybe it would be hard to top it'd be hard to top the release of those tariffs. So I'm not expecting a new higher VIX. Just I'm concerned it's not going to drop as fast as I'd like to see it.
Well, if you just look at the 4-hour chart, it's just a series of lower highs, lower lows too from here, lower high, lower low, and it's basically getting trapped underneath the conversion line right now for the past couple of 4-hour candles, and so maybe that's going to go back down to the 28 soon. So I think it's set up for a nice little rally upwards, and I'm not too concerned with that.
I love that.
Yeah, let's. I'll just jump into Tesla real quick before I switch it over to you again. So my Tesla chart, yeah, it's in a big wide range. It's been in the same range for the past month and a half, if you're looking at it this way, right? It's basically, we've seen this low before that we're seeing right now. We've seen some highs, right? But it's just basically stuck between the cloud and the 50-week moving average, and it's oscillating in between the angle and the arc right here. And I still think it has that potential to hold. Right, whether or not earnings does take it down to the lower 200s or to the bottom of the cloud, I don't know, 205, 204, who knows, right? But I think what we're really going to experience is maybe something like last earnings. Like this was exactly last earnings, how it closed a big bearish engulfing candle, then the following week just exploded. So perhaps this week could be something similar, whereas a big bearish engulfing candle or something down to levels and go sooner. Or it could surprise people and go back up above all these levels again, and then nothing to worry about. So I'm just looking at this exactly 1 year ago, because this was exactly 1 year ago right here, and it was freaking people out, but it still gravitated back to market symmetry. So this is freaking people out, and I still think it's going to gravitate back to market symmetry, regardless of what it does after hours. So I don't really care. But I think the lower it goes, the better your risk reward, because we're in a point where you look at the monthly chart, and you know what? This monthly Ichimoku cloud is very nice, right? The bottom of the cloud is around 213, and it is a big breakout, which was just a fake out back to down to levels where it was before the breakout. So usually when you see that kind of setup, it's not really a scary situation. It's something that is beneficial for the future. So it depends on your time frame. But for me, I'm always the longer term, and I was accumulating in this zone down here last year earnings as well. And if it does go back a little bit lower in the 200s, I'll be accumulating more for Tesla down there as well. So this is something that I'm not afraid of. This looks like a healthy chart on the higher time frame. It looks like it's just back testing an important zone, and usually that can take time to play out. So I am not concerned, just like I wasn't really concerned back here a year ago either.
Very nice. Yep. If you get Tesla in the low 200s, that's a great place to buy more and hang on to it. Um, I don't think we'll see. I mean, it's getting so close, right? Yesterday it got to about 222, 223. It's like it's teasing. We already had practically almost a double bottom at 214. So I don't know. The Maybe yesterday as low as it goes. Maybe they always look to that crazy hijinks thing. As soon as the market closes, they wait like a minute, and then like they just start the selling pressure, this incredible selling pressure, and then you know 5-10 minutes later when the actual earnings comes out, it like rebounds like 20%. So shenanigans. Just maybe if you want to buy more Tesla, look for an opportunity to buy it in those first few minutes after the market closes today. If you see it just dive down. Other than that, I'm not expecting it to do much more than the 240 max pain for Friday. Overall, this whole move from the 488 high to this 214 low and a rebound is this ABC here. So 38.2% fib rebound would take us to 320, but I don't know how long that's going to take. Again, I think it could take a long time through May. A retest of 278.98, and then the 6-weight is 383.76. If it did a 786, that'd be 420.94, and that'd be lovely. And maybe that's what we see in June, July. That's all I'm looking for Tesla right now. So if you're long in it, you're long in it. Buy anywhere down here and hang on to it. Because in the long term, I do see Tesla going to 1,000 or so. It's just not going to get there as fast as I thought it was going to get to this year, and that makes me sad. Sorry, guys. That's it. That's all I've got to say for Tesla right now.
All right. Yeah, I see some crypto requests here, so I'll jump on that. There's like 3 of them. So here we go. Telcoin. This one is looking pretty good, right? So it broke back above the weekly cloud, came back down to retest the support down here of the 50-week moving average, and now it's getting back above the 200-week moving average, going towards the 50% fib right here at the 0.0074, and this is going to be some resistance right here. So I think it might be just stuck in a range until it really is ready to break out, but it's got a bullish looking structure. Previous resistance was flipped to support, so I'm not too concerned about this, but it might take some time to break through this resistance right here above at the 0.007. So that'll be the focus for this chart. And next we're going to do XRP, and XRP is stuck in a range, right? It's between the baseline 194, conversion line 232, even you got the 886 fib right there, 225.877. One thing I do want to point out though is linear scale it is trying to get back above this linear scale 618, right? The 2.09345. So that is something that's interesting. It's been basically hovering around that 618 for 4 weeks in a row and not really doing much. So if it can start to stabilize back on top of that, then we can start seeing some upward momentum. But until then, just range bound and no excitement. And I think we're going to see more excitement from the coins that have been destroyed recently, since they have a lot more room to the upside than coins that have been outperforming already. Maybe they need to cool off a little bit before going higher. So XRP does look fine, but I still think it might just be going sideways for a little bit while some other coins outperform, simply because it already had a massive move. So give it some time. And next we'll look at Ondo, ONDO. And Ondo, this chart right here is actually looking better and better as well. It's getting back on top of my arc here and on top of the leading span A of the cloud for the Ichimoku. And I did see somebody saying, what are the settings for the cloud? And it's just the standard settings under TradingView. You go to indicators, you type in Ichimoku cloud, and it's the first one that pops up. And you don't have to change any of the settings at all. But anyway,
You might want to look at the you might want to look at the lagging span and then turn the lagging span off, because sometimes that it makes this crazy double image that makes it hard to look at. We usually have the lagging span off.
yeah. And if you want to look at the 4 hour, if you want, you need to go into settings and turn on after hours price action too in pre-market. So that's the only adjustment as well. But going back to Ondo here, it's going to have resistance above, just like everything else, right? And that's going to be the 94 cent and also the 102 above. And it's kind of around that angle too. So it kind of lost this angle as support. So I think we might be seeing something where it tries to stabilize on top of this cloud here and maybe just does something like that in the future to see if it really can break through all this resistance or if it needs to come back down. But so far, so good. Reclaiming that arc is really the most important thing. So let's just watch that 85 cent zone, stabilize on top of that. Then I think it'll continue higher.
Very cool. I've got Goldman Sachs for Golden Parachute here.
Nice. And I don't know about that Popeyes. I don't think there is a Popeyes chicken, huh?
I like the Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Yeah, me too. You gotta love that chicken.
Yep. All right, so here's GS Goldman Sachs. I just wanted to show you with the Bollinger Band here. There's a weekly chart. It dropped below the Bollinger Band, and so if you're a fan of Cantonese cat like I am, it got punished for extending beyond the Bollinger Band, punished to the upside and pushed back. Now we're back up here, back above my moving average 75 here in this sort of orangey golden color. And you can see the Ichimoku cloud wants to trend up for Goldman Sachs. Just as the whole, like much of the market, it's just been on the uptrend over time. And this stock has done exactly what I've seen with a lot of other stocks, where from my 1-2, it went to the 100% mark, and then got knocked all the way back down to the wave 2 start. So this is my wave 1, wave 2, 100% extension, right back down to the wave 2 start again. So now it sort of does the whole thing over again. And this is where I'm sort of cautiously looking for rebuilding it as a 38.2% fib extension, 23.6, 123.6, 76, and then 223.6. So for Goldman Sachs, let's just look for it to trend up to 528.83 next, and then possibly test back down to 493.87. If it can get above the 382, as high as the 76.4, then I change this around. But let's just wait till we get there. But it looks like if it goes that high, it would do this. But just looking at the cloud, this 382.236 seems a lot more realistic. So yeah, look for it to struggle. Well, it's already over the 493.82. So yeah, look for 528 next, and then test back to 493.87. And then if it succeeds those two, it should make it all the way up to 733, a new higher high. Though this 36.4 on the way up will be resistance, so it could become support later. There you go, Goldman Sachs.
Very nice. And I see, according to RBB and trader consensus, Tesla is heading back to 180. Well, I think RBB actually said that. How would you guys feel, or like, do you guys have any 180 orders in? Right? I don't think she really said she's expecting it to go there. She just basically said, "What would you guys do? Would you buy at 180? Do you have orders set at 180? Something like that." So. Uh, it's not. It could go either way, right? I don't know if she's really expecting it or if she just has some maybe hoping orders down there to snag if it does get down there. So who knows?
Yeah, on the 4-hour Tesla chart, I see there are some buy orders down here between 208 and 196, and between 192 and 182. Well, actually, the 180, 117, which is the prior low we had here.
Yeah, I don't know if I see it at the moment. There seems to be quite a bit of support at that 213 zone. Like maybe it could wick below it, but yeah, at this point it's like splitting hairs to me. It doesn't really matter because a lot of the fear, in my opinion, is already priced in.
Yeah, it's definitely been tough to make money trading Tesla. It's better just to buy it when it's low and hang on to it.
All right, I see a MicroStrategy chart. So there's only one thing I'm focused on for
Mm-hmm.
MicroStrategy, and that is the 1.414 fib extension 340. I want to see it get back above it because the last time it was above that was basically right here, back in January 21st. So it's been over 4 months of just not being above it. So let's get back on top of it, reverse this trend, and then it can go higher. So I think it's just waiting on Bitcoin to maybe get back towards the 91,000 zone and maybe even to head back towards 100,000. And once it does that, yeah, I can see MicroStrategy head back up to the 542 and so on. So I do like MicroStrategy. I mean, it held support perfectly at the 1.272. That was like really the opportunity for good accumulation down there during all that fear. But now it's heading to this resistance, so I'm not sure if it's going to break above the first try. So the closer it gets up there, the little bit more cautious I will be. So good chart, but one last level to break above before more excitement.
I apologize. Did you do the Soul Strategies CYFRS?
Oh no, I didn't.
No, you did it. You did Soul Coin. So this is an over-the-counter stock. It's kind of in the penny range. I don't recommend these kind of stocks in general, just because the liquidity is hard to find when you need it. But in general, I'd say, the buy orders are between 98 cents and 56 cents. I'd kind of stick to that. My moving average 75 on the weekly is down here at about 76 cents, so you could easily see it wick back down to there. I don't see this moving up yet until it probably hits the Ichimoku right down here around 88 cents again. So I'd say look for an opportunity to buy it near the high 70s, low 80 cents, and then hang on to it for a bit. In general, I wouldn't recommend these OTC stocks just again because of the usually liquidity is a problem. Um, GE Aerospace on the weekly chart. I never charted this one, but you can see it came right down to my weekly Ichimoku. I'm sorry, no, to the moving average 75, which is kind of how it usually follows the Ichimoku cloud. On top of the cloud, so that looks like it is good to stay on top of the cloud so far. Let me pull a quick fib from here. Nope, from here. How's that look? That's 50%. Yeah, this is pretty good. So if we call this a 1-2 right here, it kind of got over the 382, but then lost the 236 down to this 11.4 again. Let's see if it can recover this 236 level, and it might start to run. So from here, almost to 50%, back to 11.4. Let's see. Let's try this one here. That'd be pretty awesome. Um, yeah, but obviously it's probably not going to go that velocity. It seems tame. I mean, it seems like a good place to acquire GE or add GE. But what we're looking at in percentage wise, from where price is right now to get back to the 382 is just 13% higher, and to go back to its all-time high is like 20% higher. I don't know. It doesn't excite me, but if you like GE, then yeah, it doesn't seem like a bad place to add more with a stop maybe below the cloud here, 174, maybe 173. There you go, GE Aerospace. And then GEV was one of my earlier too. Where's my chart for GEV? Oh, this is the wrong. That's why I don't see it. I was using the wrong template. All right, here's my GEV. Again, I was looking for the 38226. We haven't gotten over the 236 yet. So from where price is right, now, if it can get up to the 32, that's 26% higher. Seems like a fair risk reward. I'd set your stop below 300. But if it does get over this, get over the 382 and then makes the 236 support, just like I've kind of got here, like this. Oh, I've got to move this down. Sorry about that. So now it's actually only 22% higher to the 382, and if it does make a run from the 23.6, that is 100% higher. So, this isn't a bad place to acquire because you're still below the 23.6 retrace. So you can add it, and again, maybe a stop below 300 in case it wants to push farther down. All right, done with those. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think I saw a request for a crypto or coin actually. Yeah, Coinbase. So let me switch over. Yeah, so my Coinbase chart, it's here it is. It's still kind of stuck underneath the 100-week moving average, but it's getting on top of this arc again, which is something that I like. And what I pointed out yesterday, it's just like a double bottom here, and it looks like it just has room to continue its journey higher. So I'm looking for a weekly candle close above 180 again. And once we get kind of that, then I think it'll have enough momentum to carry on back to the 200s and above. So it's like the baby steps in the right direction. And after so many months of downturn, right, since December, it's just been kind of straight down. And with this double bottom kind of confirmation here, this looks good, right? It looks good right here. It just needs to break above this level, the 180. It's been kind of trapped underneath it. And once it's above there, then I can see it just start accelerating and maybe do a giant candle one of those weeks up like 40% or something. We'll see. But this is something that still has a very nice market structure. And I do not hate this chart at all because it's beautiful. Higher highs, higher lows, double bottom down here, holding market symmetry on log scale. And this looks like it wants to start its trend up higher. So one of the more beaten up stocks over the past 4 months, but also such a great opportunity, I think, for something explosive because I think it's at least going to this blue level up here, 700, and I think it's probably even going to go beyond that. So I'm not worried about this stock at all. It's going to be going into all-time highs very, very, very nicely.
I just ran through Bitfarms bankrupt with my family. Will my TSL get back to 25, you think? Let me show you this weekly TSLL chart. And the Ichimoku cloud itself does seem to support that it wants to get back up here. So Ichimoku cloud's predicting, between 23 and 28, but not until like June through August. So somewhere around there, June, July, maybe July will be the sort of higher point of support. And then, we're under the Ichimoku cloud here, so at some point it's got to run up and through it. I'm looking for this 382236, but this kind of looks like a 61832 kind of thing. I don't know, but to answer your question, I'd say yes, but like in the summer, midsummer. All right, that's all. I just wanted to address that. Amazon and Google. Amazon's getting punished for expanding or for going below its. It dropped, too fast, too far. But it is right back at the bottom of its Bollinger Band. But it seems that the cloud also wants it to go higher. So, maybe Amazon is a good place to buy some here with a stop below 160. So we're about 167-ish now. Or actually, that's a weekly chart, so it might be different than that. We're actually at 170 right now. So to get to just the 382%, that's 21% higher. And then this cloud would take us to the 618, which is 28% higher. So, you wouldn't do badly with Amazon. Oops. Overall, my chart thinks that if this was the floor bottom down here at 161, then it wants to go to 303 over time, but over more time than I've got it drawn here. So I don't know, if you're trying to compare one thing to another from where we are right now, maybe it makes it to 311.70, 85% gain over the next year, perhaps. All right, Matt, do you want to do
No, we can wrap it up here. I mean, do you have any final thoughts you want to say?
I'm so sorry I'm so dour today, everybody. I just, it's hard being the Tesla tracker when your favorite stock is just not, is being punished so heavily. And, both politically as well as monetary, financially. We'll get over this. It's just a low hump. I don't think Tesla's going to go to 180. If it does, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of it.
Yeah.
Or at least the TSLL.
Yeah.
I will absolutely drop the hammer on 180.
Yeah, and my final thoughts for you guys are basically that this could be one of the bottoming weeks for a lot of things, right? For the month of April, right? I don't think it's going to go lower than what we saw earlier in March or earlier this month. I think May is actually probably going to be the start of something good for a lot of things, and probably even for Tesla too. So even if Tesla has a red week this week, I think it might be just a capitulation week and it'll be okay. I think what we're seeing for a lot of things out there, especially for the crypto related stuff, things are about to blast off. And I think that actually could spark some rally into everything else too. So everything else, like big tech, has been under a lot of pressure, but I honestly think that prices can start to recover nicely, and I'm not too concerned. And once we see the VIX start going below 30, I think everything can enjoy a little bit of a reprieve rally. But we still have those levels that I mentioned earlier above to break above. So that'll be the goal, to maybe close the week above that this week. And if they do close above resistance this week, then I'll be a lot more optimistic going into next week and next month.
Yeah, if this really is the bottom for Tesla and it follows this weekly Ichimoku cloud, then, by July, it might get back up to about 383 here, like I've got predicted with this ABC retrace back to the 618 retrace, which is 68% higher between now and July.
Yeah.
There you go.
Until then, we'll see you tomorrow to discuss Tesla price action and more.
Yep. And what happened. Yep. And, it's going to be, I don't know, however the market reacts to Tesla could have broader implications for other tech stocks, which also report earnings this week. So keep that in mind. Yep. Tesla could be a bellwether one way or the other.
Yep.
All right. See you
All right,
tomorrow.
guys.
Thanks,
Take care.
Matt. Thanks,
Bye
everybody.
bye.